player quits because a ghost made him old. I'm the DM in this story, and one of my players quit today. I need to vent here because this situation actually made me question the way I DM. Our campaign had been running smoothly up to this point. We had our ups and downs, as every group does. But never had I foreseen that a seemingly harmless session would end with a player leaving my game. First, the details, though, to help you get in the game. Last night's session started with a combat with 6 level 6 characters. One of the members couldn't make it because she was sick. Nothing too fantastical. So we were down by one player, the Twilight Cleric. The mood was actually so good even then, one of them said, "Well, one down, but we still have me. What could go wrong?" But with less drama. As fate would have it, we were about to find out what could go wrong. Back to the game. The party faced off against 4 star spawn manglers and 1 ghost. This is a deadly encounter for 6 level 6. I ran the encounter in a 4-story tower. The party was split among different floors for reasons. The 2 players at the top realized they were outgunned, but with their quick thinking they managed to hatch a plan with great role-playing to jump off the tower with Featherfall. Well, mostly it was one player just saying, "Ever wanted to try skydiving?" and they just leapt. One of the manglers ran off the tower by Nistel's magic aura and died on impact, eliminating one of the creatures. At the bottom of the tower, 2 of the players were causing a ruckus of their own, trying to distract the guards from the city. The PCs were there to steal SH, of course. Using Major Image, an Aboleth. That player, a warlock, spent most of the fight with the other downstairs. But the last few rounds, when everyone was together and fighting off the remaining 2 manglers, and the ghost is what is troubling me. This is where the whole problem began. As a last-ditch effort of the ghost to neutralize these foolish mortals for disturbing his tower, he used a horrifying visage on the warlock. This warlock is also a beautiful young Azamar. He rolled his save. It was a terrible failure, but not a nat 1, and according to horrifying visage, if the save fails by 5 or more, the target also ages 1d4 times 10 years. And also, the aging effect can be reversed with a greater restoration spell, but only within 24 hours of it occurring. Of course, he rolls a 4, and ages 40 years, something I had no control over. So I ruled this as written. They are 6th level and none of them can cast greater restoration or reach a cleric in enough time to restore his youth. He was not happy about this. Way more than I realized. He was someone who used to be the loudest of the group, but after this he turned off his mic and didn't say anything for the rest of the session, and even left early. That kinda left everyone else feeling bummed because he was bummed, and the session fizzled out whole, while I talked with some others about magic books. Now how I tried to resolve this. I talked to him and explained my perspective to him, which is, I made a ruling and this thing happened and I'm not gonna retcon it. His perspective is, you changed my character without my consent. I was sticking to the rules while he felt it was wrong as his character changed. We talked about all the possible solutions. He is a warlock. Maybe his patron would restore his youth for a price. Maybe they can request for a more powerful potion of longevity. He would say he's being punished unfairly for a bad roll. I don't know what to do. He left the game and I'm not willing to retcon last night's events. For me, this was not entirely about rules, but more about consistency. The world has to abide by its own logic otherwise. If I start changing outcomes based on feelings, then where does it stop? We went back and forth, and I felt I tried everything on my end to make him feel better, while even stressing at work about losing a player. To further add context, we had session 0. We discussed all our boundaries. It was full. We used the session 0 system, and the character building features of kids on bikes. Still missed the part about monster abilities changing your character's cosmetic appearance or age. And let's be serious, who would have thought the aging effect of a ghost would be a boundary for anyone? I didn't, and maybe I should have. But it happened, and I couldn't reverse it. Not without compromising the campaign's consistency. Despite everything, I again asked the player if he would be down to play it forward. Do you want to get on a quest to regain your youth? Do you want to ask a favor of your patron? Do you want to use the time machine? No, no, and no. He only wants me to reverse my decision. It's BS and that ability sucks, and he should get to play his character how he wanted it. As far as my DM philosophy goes, I want my players to have fun, and I think it's fun to be challenged, in creating situations where characters evolve, Not just by numbers on their sheets, but in their stories, their personalities, their arcs. I want them to roleplay overcoming obstacles, and to create interesting situations for the players and their characters to navigate. It's come up a couple of times. I know I should be the better person, and just let my player live his fantasy. But if I give in and cave into his demand to reverse the bad thing that happened to him, that will just set a precedent for the rest of the group that don't want bad things to happen to their characters. I just don't think it's right. Maybe my group will implode, and I'll have to do some real soul-searching. But at this point, he refuses to budge or compromise and dropped out of our Discord group and Roll20 game. What else can I do? I've been so invested in this today. For those that want more details, the encounter wasn't the issue. If though it was CR deadly, they absolutely steamrolled it with only one character dropped to 0 HP. His partner threw him over his shoulder and the feather fall to the ground, in a daring escape. Every dice roll in Dungeons & Dragons is an opportunity for storytelling. A failure doesn't necessarily mean a personal failure or the party fails. Failing a check and becoming old is an excellent opportunity for a new quest, just like this Dungeon Master recommended. It could have been an amazing new kind of roleplay where the handsome young Aasimar now has to live and interact with people as older, probably still attractive Aasimar, and navigate the world in a different light, while he quests to regain his precious youth. There are consequences in Dungeons & Dragons. There has to be. If there weren't, then what's the point of playing? I imagine if this player's character died, they would also quit the game. In my humble opinion, I think the DM did everything correctly. They offered a way to restore the character's youth, thought outside the box, and even let the player choose how they would have done it. But some people have their vision of how the game should be run and played, and unfortunately that vision is at odds with this particular DM. These situations are what makes a DM think a lot. Should the DM have shielded the player by not following the rules for his own happiness? Or perhaps it was a lesson for other DMs to be more flexible. Every table has good and bad moments. I'd love to hear from you, especially if you've faced similar situations in your campaigns. How do you strike the balance between staying true to the game and ensuring everyone's enjoyment? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content every Tuesday.